Welcome to the presentation of the role of research and testing in simulation of a design process as well as video and serious games. So, in the current presentation, we analyze the current topic in four different ways. The first one, the role of research in simulation of a design process and video games, and how the role in these two have a similarity and difference. And the third thing, we focus on the goal of testing in both simulation of a design process as well as video and serious games. And also, lastly, we discuss about how the difference as well as similarity in the both the goals of testing. Now let us come to the actual presentation. Okay, come to role of research in simulation of a design process. Firstly, the main thing to find out is the objective of the design process. The second thing, we have to sort it to the blueprint of the actual design process. And this where the actual picture comes in. We have to investigate the similar design process as well as research papers. For instance, as I proposed multi-server queuing systems, it is very necessary to find a mechanism on single server queuing systems as well as multi-server queuing systems. What are the actual outputs in our findings and how we can relate to our project. At this stage, we don't need much code. Next, let's come to role of research in simulation of games. The first and foremost thing is objective of the game. We have to sort out what is the ultimate end aim of the game. The second, the research comes into picture. Here, we have to get the blueprint of a game by looking the other games as well as the concepts for the game to run. For example, if we want to design a game of watershed, we have to sort out how the watershed works. What does it actually do in the real time? How we can simulate a watershed which does the exact resemblance of the watershed in the real time. Now, focus on similarities in research process for games and design process. Firstly, to finding the objective is very similar in any simulation. The second stage, the research process immediately comes in the second stage of any design process. And moreover, the design process, we definitely focus on how well our model is matching to real-time model. For example, if you want to design a game like Watershed or chess, we should not go out of the research on the rules and regulation of the actual topic. Similarly, if you want to design a single check counter, we'll work on single server queuing mechanism, but we should not go out of the topic. Hence, appropriate samples are very necessary in collecting or doing the research. Now, let us see the differences in research in both simulations. Firstly, when it comes to design process, we focus more on scientific part. When it comes to games, it focus more on player experience. Secondly, the design process, we focus more on mathematical models, whereas in the game, we focus more on actual survey of target audience. For example, if we are developing a single server queue systems, we focus more on input and random variables which will impact the model to great extent. But if you want to develop a need for speed, we focus which part of a game user is experiencing better than the actual mechanism and working of a car. Now, let us come to goal of testing during simulation of a design process. Firstly, testing process definitely comes the last stage of the project. Moreover, this process focuses mainly on the accuracy part. For example, as our current proposal is multi-server queuing systems, we design a model based on the historical data and train the model with the test part. And finally, we see accuracy in terms of mathematical values like 95.99 or 99.9%. But if our model does not reach our expectations, we should go for different algorithms or any other means. And hence, testing is the main heart of any design process. Now comes to goal of testing in games like video and serious games. Unlike in design process, we focus more on testing by involving the target audience to actually play the games. And hence, we collect the feedback from the people on every aspect of a game design so that we can actually modify and polish the game for a better experience. For example, If you're designing the game of a temple run, we have to test whether our target audience are actually enjoying the game in different stages. If you find any task which are not letting our audience do not stay for a while, it is very necessary to polish a particular task or the game. Now let us come to the goal of testing in simulation of design process as well as games. So the goal of testing any simulation primarily focuses on end product, whether it is reaches our expectations or not. For example, if it is a game, we should not miss the actual norm of physics mechanics. Let's say, for instance, if you're designing a chemical lab, we cannot miss the actual chemical reactions and proportional quantities, which itself we can see in qualities as well as design which involves a lot of science involved. Now let us see the goal of testing the points which differ in simulation as well as games. The goal of testing in design process mainly involved in mathematical models, whereas in games it involves more of user entertainment where we cannot calculate in numbers. For example, if our trained model is showing good accuracy, we should go for new algorithm which gives better accuracy. On the other side of the coin, if we if you're in the games we cannot change the game code or algorithms, but we can polish the idea of the game where we can provide the better user experience or better entertainment. Thank you.